Namaste, viewers, and welcome to another episode of Amazing Vedas with Dr. Pariksith Singh. Namaste, Dr. Singh. Thank you for joining us. So, I would request you to read, one of your posts on X where you claim that the Rishis are playing tricks. Now, that's not a very nice thing to say. It's going to offend our most solemn and most sometimes sullen, uh, you know, patriot. So, friends uh, who want to revive Hindu culture, but
Yes, yes.
they sometimes they want to revive it sometimes in a very humorless way, in a way that is not fun, and also I think they are completely clueless about the Vedas. So I guess we have to help them out a bit. But
Yes.
I want to remind viewers once again that nothing comes from nothing. So don't forget your Gayatri mantra. You must do some prachodayat in all its different senses. You have to, stoke the fire, and only then, even humor, you know, unless you churn it a little bit, unless you churn the ocean, you're not going to get Amrit. Forget about getting the wish. But anyhow, let's go to our rishis, and definitely they had a great sense of humor,
Yes.
as you say in your Vedas for Gen Z, your new book, which we will also talk about from time to time. But they not only had a great sense of humor, they always knew that words meant many different things at many different levels. So let's see an example of that. Over to you, Dr. Singh.
So just someone asked you, Aurobindo, what is the level below the supermind? Supermind, of course, is the Rit Chit, right? The truth consciousness. So Sri Aurobindo, with typical humor, says, humor. Right beneath the highest consciousness is humor. So we should learn to
And he
laugh at
must have
ourselves.
said it with a very straight face,
Yes,
because if you read Nirod Baran and A.B.
yes,
Purani, he
yes.
had an amazing sense of very
Yeah.
subtle, but he always used to be, like the British, slightly stiff upper lip. Anyhow.
But you know this. Let me say this because even though the mother took them away, we don't realize how our great.
There's a Sri Aurobindo joke book which
Yeah,
is waiting to be resurrected from the
that,
archives.
you know that, right? There are non-vegetarian jokes in it. and so they put it together. They showed it to the mother, and she laughed, and she said, "Well, that's one aspect of his personality that will have to come later." So we have to grow up to learn to laugh with our teachers, our yogis, our masters, and beware of the master who cannot laugh.
Exactly. And beware of the ashram where there is no laughter. I always
Yes.
say that to people who are looking for places of refuge. I have the highest regard for ashrams, but in an ashram where nobody laughs, forget about laughing. There are ashrams where they don't even smile. Everybody wears a long face. And thankfully, viewers, we are Ati Ashramis now. So we have literally nothing to lose and probably nothing to gain either.
Okay, so Vedic Kavya, and Rig Veda Mandala 1, Suktam 4, Rik number 1. Let us look at one of the masterly tricks the rishis play. Surupakritmumutaye e sudaga amiva goduhe e juhumasi dyavi. So this is, they're describing Indra, and I'll come to this. But the translation made by H. Wilson goes something like this, based on Sayana. Day by day we invoke the doer of good works for our protection, as a good cow for the milking is called by the milker. So if you look at it objectively, it is a very ordinary simile. Upama. Nothing very exciting or interesting until you realize that this is a literary googly. The cow and the milk are part of an elaborate system of symbols in the background. If you are not aware of the shlesha that cow is, also a ray of light, and the mantra you would miss it entirely. The metaphor of the Gau extends into the next rik with this phrase, Goda idre vato madaha. That is, Indra gives us light when intoxicated with soma, madaha, or when our enlightened buddhi is full of bliss, it gives us the light and knowledge of truth. Suddenly, a simple image acquires a profound spiritual meaning that is utterly true and multidimensional. What a genius, our Rishi Madhuchanda.
Oh, absolutely. And those who are so skeptical about the symbology of the Veda, we refer you to the work of, the great masters, not only Sri Aurobindo, but Kapali Shastri, MP Pandit, and of course, Professor R.L. Kashyap. Now, when people challenged him, and remember, we talked about this earlier, viewers, in our earlier episode, what Kapali Shastriyar was trying to do in Siddhanjana was to address the orthodoxy, address the Pandits, and demonstrate that what Sri Aurobindo interpreted was not a fancy of his own imagination, but was based on traditional and established norms of Vedic exegesis. And Professor R.L. Kashyap, he took that a step further because he was a pattern recognizer. He was a pioneer of AI. So he just identified, the almost 175 to 200 times that the word go appears in the Veda, and he demonstrated with reference to context what its many meanings were. And that was the way he established that it didn't mean just the cow. Whereas most Western translators and commentators do not go beyond the material, the physical, and the literal meaning.
It is a very beautiful demonstration of how a simple, on the surface, upama hides behind it a shlesha, where Gau is the ray of light, and you are talking about Indra Surupa Kritnam, who is the designer of excellent forms. And Indra is the highest power of the mind, the alokit mana, the luminous mind. And when Indra creates a form, with that power, it will translate into material existence. Surupa Kritnam Utaye. And we worship him and we gain from him. But there comes the beautiful play. Dyavi, Dyavi, day by day. Remember, we had Dive, Dive in the Agni Suktam. And here, the image is as you get milk from a cow. But this cow is the cow that is a ray of light, the ray of light coming from the highest source that is filling our mind with knowledge, with the truth, with the self. It is Prakasha, it is Atma Prakasha, it is Sva Prakasha. And this light then creates formations. So the cow creates milk, and that milk is the formations of the mind, the structures of the mind. And see now, suddenly that Surupa Kritnam is a beautiful apposition, juxtaposition to the ray of light and the milk. The milk is a structure created by the ray of light. The cow gives the milk, the ray of light creates the formation, and Indra is the one who creates excellent forms. And in the second rik, Goda, Idre Vato Madaha. Goda, one who gives gows. Now we're not asking Indra for cows. We are asking Indra for light. When that brilliant mind, the luminous mind, when it's full of bliss, full of the joy of existence, the ambrosia, what we call the amritam, soma is amritam, then come out of that brilliant mind more light, more truth. And suddenly it becomes a spiritual realization. What a powerful way of taking a simple image and creating a very complex and loaded image out of it. And you see, it's a very extended metaphor, and it's a metaphor that keeps on giving. It's so, so powerful. So let me stop here because, we have to learn to appreciate the chanda, the poetry of the Veda. It is one of the Vedanga, the chanda. Of course, we have Nirukta, we have Vyakarana. All these are very important. And of course, the pronunciation is critical. How we utter things, how we speak things, and these are all. Every Vedanga is important, but Chanda is the feet of the Veda, the pada, pun intended. So if we can catch that Chanda, we capture that brilliance of how the truth is presented as sheer poetry, as the sheer genius of literary composition, of the music, the art of the verse. Then suddenly we see new things, and it is not an ordinary boring translation as we see with several Western authors. They don't appreciate the poetry. They have no clue about the depth of the images and the symbolism. They don't even have a sense of appreciation of the rhythm, the prosody. How would they appreciate? So you have to be a kavi at heart, a poet at heart, to appreciate this gorgeous poetry. You have to have some sensitivity. If you just translate it in a flat, prosaic way, you're going to lose out on that. And when you discover with deep meditation what beautiful figures of speech are used, what alankars are used, but these alankars are a part, innate part of the art of the Veda, then suddenly new things happen in your brain, and you learn so much more. These are complex works, but there is an elegance to it. There's a refinement to it, and it is really, really very. It's so impressive to me that at the beginning of humanity's literature, humanity's poetry, we come across this such elegant way of composing a poem. Let me stop and give it back to you.
Indeed, indeed. Very well said, sir. And the Veda energizes us, it uplifts us, but we also have to be open to it. If we bring our own, as I called it earlier, mental warp and try to reduce the Veda to our own level, which is usually, the physical, material level, that's it, then we're going to miss out on all the layered meanings of each of the words. And by the way, if you honestly look at our own vocabulary, even in the context in which we live, words even today have many meanings, you know. And if we are alive to those in our daily life, we may, in fact, be more open to the deeper meanings of the Veda as well. With those words, thank you, Dr. Singh. Thank you, viewers. Namaste.